Hello, this is Craving Comics, and I am your host, Brett Duke. I appreciate you coming here. I hope that you enjoyed our first video being back in almost a decade, and it's wonderful to be back. It truly is. Now, I'm going to go over my DC pack when it comes to whatever I have in my pull list right here, my stack of DC comics, and just kind of give you my thoughts on why I'm reading some of these comics. Uh, with that being, I would have really appreciated if you would like and subscribe and leave me a message down below and if there's anything that you feel that I'm missing out on when it comes to anything DC related. So, first off, let's start off with Batman and Robin Year One. Now, I didn't really have a lot of high hopes for this because Mark Waid, he's kind of hit or miss. That's how I feel about him, is that he's kind of hit or miss. But Chris Samney, um, boy, man, I love his art. His art is fabulous. Uh, I've really, because of this comic, actually, I have started seeking out covers of his whenever there's an open variant because I'm too cheap to buy the 1 in 10s or 1 in 25s or anything like that. But if there's an open variant that's the same price as the cover A, I will look out for Chris Samney and go, all right, yeah, that's mine. I'll add that one instead of the cover A. So when it comes to the particular run that they're doing, I want to say this is going to be about 12 issues. 12 issues. I don't think this is 12 issues, 12 months, but just 12 issues long. And I really enjoy the dynamic between understanding the very beginning of Bruce and Dick understanding that, look, we're Batman and Robin. You got to learn from me, and we got to do this my way. But at the same time, I need to learn from you because technically, I'm your father, and I need to be able to understand what it's like to raise a kid. And then, Dick Grayson needing to understand, hey, I have this wonderful opportunity to fight crime, and then at the same time, if I remember correctly, he's still trying to find out who killed his parents. And so it's a really good story. I feel like this is definitely one of Mark Waid's hits, and I thoroughly enjoyed it so far. Next is Batgirl. Now, this is Cassandra Cain, not Barbara Gordon. And so far, I'm enjoying it enough to keep going. It's not blowing me away, but at the same time, I did not know much about Cassandra's mother. I don't think many of us did until this run. And I'm really interested to see how that dynamic is going to go between her and her mother, and then all these people trying to make sure that she is killed. I am not completely all up to date with it. I think I'm 1 or 2 issues behind, but so far, I'm going to continue on with it probably for at least an arc or two just to see how that goes because I enjoy Cassandra Cain. She's actually, in my opinion, one of the most underrated Batgirls because I know there's a few. She doesn't get as much love as she should deserve, but I really enjoy uh, the dynamic between her mom, and that's why I still sticking with this because the rest of the story is just, it's okay. Um, Next, let's go over this one. This is a JSA. So this is number 4. I read number 1. It was okay, and I'm gonna just stick with this arc. I'm not up to date on this one, but I really enjoyed Jeff Lemire. I feel like he's again someone that I compare somewhat to Jonathan Hickman, and I don't mean their writing styles. I just mean that right now he has more hits than misses, and right now I think he's doing pretty well on some of his other stuff. Um, and I want to say, yeah, there's a few that he just barely finished up. But when it comes to JSA, I'm willing to just ride this out for at least one story arc, possibly 2, just to see if I thoroughly enjoy it. Now, this one I feel is a comic that should be on a lot more people's radar because I don't think that many people are picking it up, and many people should because when this particular comic book is on fire, I mean, I feel like that's when the rest of DC really starts picking up things because people think of Superman and Batman, and Wonder Woman as maybe like the heart of DC. I wouldn't really say that because they're the leaders of DC. They're the ones that should be leading the pack. You should always be hoping that those three are doing well with their runs. Not saying they always are, but you're hoping because they're the Trinity. But when it comes to Green Lantern, whenever I feel Green Lantern is selling well because the run is going very well, the story is riveting. It's just right there every single issue. You're like, this is why I wish it was kind of in a trade immediately right now instead of month by month. That you know that the rest of DC is doing well. And Jeremy Adams, you could tell. I don't really know too much about him, but I do believe he's a comic book fan. At least he writes like he was a comic book fan. And I really enjoy where it's going because this kind of reminds me. Yeah, I'll say it. This is kind of like the Jeff Johns run. I mean, I feel like that's kind of a sacred thing when it comes to Green Lanterns because of what Jeff Johns did for Green Lantern as a character and expounding that universe. And I'm not saying that Jeremy is breaking ground or anything like that, like Jeff did, but I feel like he's getting to that area where something big is occurring, something big is happening, and you want to be a part of it. And you want to read it every single month. So if you're not reading Green Lantern, find a way to catch up. Luckily, I mean, we're in a time where it's only 19, 20 issues in. You could catch up to that very fast. And I'm not saying that you have to read all 20 issues, but I'm just saying that's what you would want to do because that's where he started at number one. It's not like he came in at number 14 or 15 or anything like that. So start from the beginning and find a way to be able to do that because for someone that doesn't know much about Green Lantern, this is still a great place to start. Instead of having to go back to the Jeff Johns era or anything like that, this will work for you. Okay. Now, this is the first time I'll bring this one up, but this is the Absolute Universe, and this is Absolute Superman. And this one so far, I don't hate it. I don't love it, but I'm intrigued, and that's what comics should do. Is they should intrigue you. They should make you want to read the next one to see whether you want to continue on or not. At least at the bare minimum, right? That's what you want it to do. And Absolute Superman's like that. I have an unpopular opinion about the Absolute Universe for the most part. That it's kind of lost its humane. And the reason why I say that is that at least from what I've read from Absolute Superman, and I'll go over the other one here momentarily, is that that hope, that ray of hope that Superman stands for, it's not quite there. And again, this is I'm gonna bring this up like I did with the Ultimate Universe. This is the Absolute Universe, and some people are better at world building than others. Jason Aaron's not one of them, but I'm willing to trust him because I mean he did help out with Star Wars. He started Star Wars when Marvel, not when Marvel, when Disney bought out Star Wars, and then Star Wars came back to Marvel. And don't get me wrong, like Jason Aaron did really well there. So I'm not saying he is horrible at world building. It's just sometimes he doesn't do the best at it. Some of them he does decent at, like he did one last year, and it's something that he did with Dark Horse that was maybe 4 or 5 issues in. I'm trying to remember what it is off the top of my head, and I can't remember it at all right now because I'm in front of a camera. But there's some that he just didn't do too well with. Like I'm not really a big fan of what he did with Punisher. I'm not really a big fan of what he's doing with Namor. But with this, again, at the bare minimum, it's one of those things that I'm wanting to see exactly where it's going to go. I just hope that he keeps the heart of what Superman is, which is a ray of hope. Because that's what I really enjoy about Superman. He's not my favorite superhero, not even probably top 5, but he is the Boy Scout, like Captain America, and that's something that is sort of becoming rare in comics. Is that hey, we don't want that Boy Scout look anymore, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's why some of these people are drawn to this character is because they can relate to that, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, next one, Batman Dark Patterns. This one is interesting because I feel this was going to be only a 6-issue limited series, and I think this is now an ongoing. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know. But I'm enjoying this. This is Dan Waters, I want to say, and who's sure I can't remember who, but Sherman is the last name. But Dan Waters is writing it, and I'm enjoying it. This is earlier Batman, and I don't know what year it is or anything like that. I can't remember if it says anything, year two, year three, or anything like that. I feel like year one, they've kind of like made sure that no one touched that after what Frank Miller did, as it should be left alone. But when it comes to Dark Patterns, so far, I'm really enjoying it. It's a perfect comic that kind of feels that 90s structure that you want to read if you're a fan of the 90s comics, and leaves you at least intrigued to know what's next. And there's nothing wrong with that. So right now, I feel like it's worth a read, and that's why I'm keep reading it. Now, this next one, I've only read like first two issues of the original, and I really liked him, and I need to catch up on this. I really do. I know, but this is DC versus Vampires World War V, and I really like this one. I really like that. I That's one thing that really draws me to when I know I told you I'm not really uh, someone who looks for the art first, but when it comes to the covers on some of these, there's one that they did with, I think it was issue 4, maybe 5, um, that they did with Wonder Woman, and I thought that one was just spot on, great. But going on, I don't really have much to say because I'm not completely caught up, but I'm picking it up so that when I can have some time, I'll read all the way through the original DC vs. Vampires and then finish up on this World War V. Moving on to Two Face. This one is okay. Like, this is a mini series of 5 or 6 issues, I believe. And what I'm interested in about it is just being able to see Harvey Dent come back. I mean, he is as Two Face, but when it comes to the criminal underbelly of the world, him having to be a lawyer again, but for different criminals, and use those laws in his, I wouldn't say in his favor, but in his client's favor, because those unwritten laws are different compared to the laws that you and I go by. So it's caught my intrigue. This is this is actually a Chris Samney cover, but so far issue 1 and 2 have been good. I think they're on issue 3 or 4. Actually, I think 3. And yeah, I'll read that one here shortly in a little bit. But I'm enjoying it. It's not the worst thing. It's not the best thing. But again, I feel like it meets at least my minimum of, do I want to continue on? Because I'm not gonna. These are definitely mini series I'm okay stopping in the middle of if it's not worth my time, because they're getting now to $4, $6 sometimes, and it's too expensive to just finish a miniseries just to finish it if you know that you're not going to want to continue reading it after that. Now this one, I want to say, let me open this one up actually real quickly because I can't remember who. Yeah, it is. Okay, so this is just an issue 1 version of it. I really liked this. Um, Foil covers sometimes get me, sometimes don't. This one definitely spoke to me. This is written by Jeremy Adams as well. So he's doing Green Lantern. He's doing a few because he has a deal going on with DC for, I think, at least 2 or 3 years. And then also it's the art is by John Timms. And I think I'm only 1 issue behind. And so far, yeah, this has got my attention. I'm not a huge Aquaman fan. Last time I actually read Aquaman was New 52. And I mean, from what I've read when I, read things online, is that there were some people that were really upset about what happened a few years ago and after that, DC never really touched Aquaman for a couple of years. And then Jeremy Adams is like, hey, I can resurrect this guy. I can bring a good story to light, and I feel that he is. Atlantis is gone, and he's needing to try and find his family and, of course, the kingdom that he's king of. And it's an interesting I wouldn't say that everything is dealing with magic, but I like how there's a little bit of magic to it, but also that there's danger involved in pretty much every issue. But it's not danger where you feel like every single what four pages that he's fighting someone. There's a story that's developing, but there's action involved with it, and who doesn't like something that has good development with action involved? That's what some of these comic books are meant for, right? So I'm really enjoying it. Now here's another one that people are gonna be like, "Huh, what the heck?" So this is the Nice House by the Sea, James Tynion the fourth, and I don't think I know any other. I don't think I have any other comics by this one. Alvaro Martinez Bueno, Jordi Belair. If I remember correctly, Jordi Belair, the one that did work with Thief of Thieves or Outcast, maybe both. I'm not sure. Anyways, I am waiting for this to be completed and just read it all the way through because they did take a break, and once they took that break, I was like, okay, you're taking a break. I'll still pick them up, but I'll just read them all the way through because I again, I'm okay with them taking like a month's break where okay, we're gonna wait, 2 months for something to come out. But once they start taking a little bit longer than that, again, it's very hard for after you read so many comics to realize, hey, it's been 3 months, 4 months since this came out. What happened? So I'm just waiting. Now, there's a lot of Batman going on, and so when it comes to this ridiculous title, because it should just be, hey, Batman, the last Halloween, right? No, we have to add the long Halloween in there for some reason. But I understand the nod that they're wanting to do when it comes to all this, and I understand that Tim Sale, may he rest in peace. But I I'm just gonna wait until it's all completely done. I read the first issue. I didn't mind it. It's not the worst thing, but there's so many other Batmans going on here, and I'm just gonna wait until I have some time to go on vacation, and I'll just probably grab. That's what I like to do is I'll grab one or two stories that I know that I'll be able to read once they're finished, and I read them while I'm on vacation. But Jeff Loeb, I mean, he has his hands full right now doing something else, if I recall. But yeah, this is okay so far. Um, Justice League, no, not Justice League. This is Green Lantern Dark. Um, it's an interesting take. Elseworld story. I'm just wanting to see how far it'll go. It's going to be a mini series, from what I know. No one's really talking about this, and so I feel like it's kind of fallen off the face of the earth because of the absolute Green Lantern. And also, hopefully, there's more chatter dealing with Green Lantern than this, but I haven't really seen many people pick this up, and it's okay. The art's not really my favorite. That's why it's harder for me. It's always kind of going near the bottom of my pile because I'm not really a big fan of the art, and the story's okay. Let's see here, Flash. Now this, oh man, I am a huge fan of the Flash. I really enjoy the Flash, and I'm getting so close to just not picking up anymore because I'm not really a big fan of the science aspect of the Flash, and I feel like that's kind of what Spurrier does here. Is that he really wants us to understand that when it comes to Wally and the Speed Force and everything that Wally is able to do with the Speed Force and the science behind it, and that he's able to go into other dimensions, and that there's so much other things going on. I am just really a simple guy. I really enjoy the Flash where just A to B, something going on. He has to deal with one of his rogues gallery, and there you go. Just kind of goes up and fights it. I don't really. I'm. It's okay to know about the Speed Force. I like when maybe there's something dealing with the Speed Force. I don't need to know the science behind the Speed Force. That's when you start losing me, and it feels like he has to explain it, and that's where he's losing me. So I might drop this sooner than later. Hopefully, I kind of hope that someone else picks it up soon, because I do think that before Spurrier, I can't remember his first name right now off the top of my head, but before, I want to say Jeremy Adams was the one writing for it, and it was a top 10 comic, if I remember correctly, on League of Comic Geeks. Like each week, it was something around, you know, number 8 to number 14, and now I feel we'll be lucky if it's in the top 20. So it's dropped. Green Arrow. So ever since the issue after Absolute Power, I haven't really read up, kept up with it, just because I feel like they're just doing too much with Oliver. There's too many twists. At first, Josh Williamson made him more like, "Hey, this is about the family. Let's do a family thing." Then Absolute Power came into play. They messed around with his character a lot, which I get it. They had to do something about it to uh, make it, I guess, more, hey, this is earth shattering in a way to make you feel that something is wrong. And then they Absolute Power's over with. Now he has to deal with the implications of everything. And instead of being going back to what it was, I mean, this is more of serious. And I'm okay with a serious Green Lantern. I am. I mean, not sorry, Green Arrow. I am. It's just I gotta catch up on it. That's all. Um, Now, this is probably the bright spot of the Absolute Universe, and I really enjoy exactly what is going on with Absolute Wonder Woman. I truly do. Um, it feels like even though she is someone that was born, I wouldn't say born, raised in hell, that she has a soft spot for humanity, that she is a kind and compassionate person. I really, really like how Kelly Thompson is writing her. And then, oh man, there's Sherman again. I think that's gonna kill me. Please, someone put in the comments what Sherman this is. But I really enjoy how this story is developing because Kelly Thompson, she did a GI Joe story I wasn't really too fond of. Then she has this ongoing comic with Boom, Grimm is I believe what it's called, and I'm not really a big fan of that. I read 18 issues of it, and I just finally gave up on it because I felt like it just wasn't progressing and it was too predictable. And so when I heard that she was writing this, I was thinking, man, I just don't know how I feel about this. I just don't think that it's going to do as well. Man, did she prove me wrong. This is really, really good stuff. And again, we're only 5 or 6 issues into the Absolute Universe, except for Batman. I think Batman's now on 7 or 8. But so far, when it comes to the Absolute Universe, I feel that Wonder Woman is doing the best when it comes to story wise, how I perceive the character should be. Again, someone who with humanity and how even humanity has treated her, because in one of the early issues, the generals there are not really the kindest to her. They're like, hey, we'll take care of this. I don't know what you're doing here, young lady, but we got this. And then her doing her thing. Um, yeah, I really enjoy how Kelly Thompson is writing this. The art's pretty good. I'm not saying that's amazing, but I think it's pretty good. It helps out with the story. But Kelly Thompson, I apologize. You definitely proved me wrong with this, and I hope that you continue to prove me wrong because I really enjoy this. Next one of the few that Josh Williamson is writing when it comes to DC, because I believe he used to write what five or six titles. It felt like now he's kind of dropped down to only a few, but this is Superman. And with everything going on between Superman and now Lois being Superwoman, because of the implications of everything that happened with Absolute Power, um, I really enjoy how he writes Superman because, again, the hope of Superman, how nice he is and how he's willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that those around him are safe. And it's interesting how he's now trying to adjust to Lois actually being able to do, everything he can do now. She's just, she's strong. She can fly. She's able to help out and everything. Then I believe Supergirl's there. I mean, I don't really. That's one thing that I need to do better at is I don't fully understand everyone in that in Superman's family because I feel like there was a certain time where just whoever was writing Superman they needed to create a new character, which makes no sense because there's of course, someone, I think it's Connor Kent, who Lex and Superman somehow made. And then I don't know that background story. Then there's Jonathan Kent, which is, I believe, his son. And then there's a Superman of China, if I remember correctly, which how did Superman get, how did China get a Superman of their own? And then, of course, there's Supergirl. Now we have Superwoman. I mean, Krypton, I thought was full of, very ultra rare people that survived it. But when it comes to these powers or people that survived it, there's more than we thought. It's an interesting thing. Now, I don't want to confuse people with this, but I know I brought up Batman and Robin. That was year one. This the original Batman and Robin, and this is dealing with Damian, not Dick Grayson. And I really enjoy this because you get to see the dynamic of Bruce trying to be a father, and yet having to learn how to trust Damian, and Damian understanding that um, I, I don't know. I don't know for sure, but I think they DH'd him because there's like a few issues way back where he went to school to help out with the investigation. And I just thought he would be a little bit older, but I could be wrong. Um, but with that being, I really enjoy this relationship that is being built up. I want to say Josh Williamson started this, and then I think it's Philip Kennedy Johnson. I think that's who it is writing it right now. And so far, I think that both of them have done a really well job with this. So I'm going to continue with Batman and Robin for the long foreseeable future because it is doing really well. Now, next is Justice League Unlimited. Uh, this is an okay cover, I think. I mean, it's the whole idea of them being in like some sort of cemetery. You see Aquaman over here, then there's Wonder Woman and Batman. It's kind of dark, but it's an okay cover. I didn't mind it. Um, but it's too early to tell whether I'm going to keep it or not. I think they're on issue 4 now. The whole idea of everyone is a part of the Justice League as long as you got superpowers. It can work for it. It might not work for it. We'll see as it plays out. Um, but I want to say this is a Mark Waid book, if I remember, just like how, because he's writing a few. Yeah, Mark Waid and Dan Mora. Dan Mora, man, he's another one that I really enjoy his art. Dan Mora does some really great art, so I'll look for his covers as well, as long as it's a cover cost variant. But yeah, it's really good. So if you have thoughts on Justice League Unlimited, I'd like to know them for those that are reading it because I'm not sold on it like other ones that I'm sold when it comes to those that have recently came out because this is only, like I said, only issue 4 because the absolutes are pretty new. Um, because there's Martian Manhunter, there's Flash, there's Green Lantern, all those absolutes, and then this. There's just a lot that DC has recently put out in the last 5 months. But let me know what your thoughts are, please. Now this one, oh man, I don't know. Again, I have faith that this will end better, but I I don't know. Sometimes not just DC but Marvel, they do things for a cash grab. I wouldn't really say so much for Image. I'm sure they do to a certain degree. I just don't think they do it as often. Mainly with, like, for example, which everyone does it with the collector's editions or library editions, that they do multiple different things, absolute editions, omnibuses, all those things. But when we talk about this, I mean, this is Hush too. So I mean, I'm reading Batman. Not a big fan of Chip Zdarsky's run. I was hoping that I was giving him one last chance because of everything that happened after Absolute Power. Because he was the one that had to. I feel. I mean, I'd have to look into if he has talked about this, but with Failsafe and him having to write that story because it led into Absolute Power, I wonder if he was kind of forced to bring that story along. I don't know if it was his idea or not. It would be interesting for us to learn about that. But then once Absolute Power was over, it's like, okay, it seemed like he has one last chance to write a really good story to end his Batman run, and I didn't really enjoy it. I just didn't. And then now we got Jeff Loeb, and the legend Jim Lee and Scott Williams. I mean, you got to give that guy props as well. I don't think he gets as much credit as he deserves, but I enjoy the art. Of course, it's Jim Lee's art. We don't really get that as much anymore. And we're going to at least get this for the next 6 issues, so 6 months of Jim Lee art. The story, I'm not sold on it yet. It was very weird how they decided to introduce us to a new character instead of focusing on Hush when we just saw him at the very end of that first panel. So we'll see what happens. Absolute Flash. This is issue 1. Don't really have much to say. I fell for the foil on this one as well. And I mean, it's Wally West, and we'll see what happens. I don't really have much to say. I think there's only two issues out. We'll see what happens. Detective Comics. This, I don't know. I want to give it the benefit of the doubt, but I feel like we've all known who the villain is. And so it's like, okay, like we're just waiting for this to happen with the whole Fountain of Youth in a way that he's dealing with. I don't know. I didn't really like Tom Taylor's Nightwing run. I might be in the minority of that. I wasn't a big fan of it. And then when I found out he was coming to Detective Comics, again, I'll give people a shot. There's no harm in it whatsoever. Because I think Tom Taylor also wrote Teen Titans. And Teen Titans, I felt like it was okay. I'd have to go back and look at it again. But Detective Comics, I'm just not sold on it. I'm going to continue reading it because it's meeting my bare minimum. But you just expect more. I mean, this is the staple of DC is Detective Comics, Batman. I would also say Superman, but Superman, I feel at least as of right now, is meeting that threshold that you want of putting on that level. And there are other titles that are doing better, but you would think that month in and month out, you would expect something like Detective Comics to be on that level, and it just hasn't been for a little bit of a time. Titans. So I picked this up because of John Layman. John Layman, he's recently written Spawn Kills Every Spawn. He's doing Scorch, or Scorches. I think it's Scorched. I think it's Scorched. With Lady Spawn. And then also, he's the guy that did Chew. And Chew's a great story. I really like it. Very original. One of those comic classics. It will be. Sorry, it's not yet. It's not that old to be able to be considered a classic. But I really enjoyed Chew, and I felt like it ended really well. But as for this, he's writing Titans now. So right now, Nightwing is no longer the leader, and so we're seeing kind of him slowly giving that up. And it looks like Deathstroke is back. I haven't really read the last 2 issues that deal with Deathstroke, just because it is one of those ones that kind of put down at the bottom of my list and of my pile. Sorry, when I read for the week, I just need to get back on it just because it's nothing. It's nothing to write home about. That's the downside. I think John has his hits and misses just like every other writer. It's just this is a miss, and he's kind of, at least in recent times, I'd say it's 50-50. But when he's writing a hit like something like Chew, man, I mean, he can just it can again become like one of the best comics for that year in the running. So got a few more left here. So let's go with DC and Sonic. Who would have thought that they would have put something like this together? Definitely not me. This is for my kids mainly. My son is a huge Sonic the Hedgehog fan. He knows more about Sonic characters than I do. I had no idea that was Amy until he told me. Um, I did not know that that was Shadow. I did know, yeah, Knuckles. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be hard to see, but you'd have to like look up the image. But at the very tip top, there's Superman, and he's up there with Knuckles. So I didn't know Knuckles, but it's a. I would put it up there with Spider Boy. This is a great all ages story that I think that if you want to just read it with your kids, or if you want to give it to one of your kids, you don't have to worry about what they're reading, and that's what I really miss about comics. I had to really worry about like when I got into comics. I mean, this was back in 2008, 2009 when I got into it, and it was still kind of the same it is now, where there's not really many kid comics. I mean, DC did Little Gotham. When it comes to Marvel, Marvel's done a few things as well. I remember Ricky bringing that up when he was a part of the podcast that we did, and I think they should do more of that. They should do more things for kids because, of course, it's not anymore. It's not that there's not really space for kid comics anymore. Very rarely would they come out with something on a monthly basis. I know that I think there's a Looney Tunes one. I think there's a Disney one. I mean, don't get me wrong, like they do like the What If that Marvel does. What if Donald Duck became Iron Man? What if Minnie Mouse became, no, Mickey Mouse became Iron Man? Um, I can't remember all of them. What if Donald Duck became Wolverine? Those kinds of books, which again, I wish that those came out on a monthly basis, but there was at least two, maybe three. I mean, I heard that now that I'm thinking about it, I heard that Batman and Scooby Doo had a comic that actually went for longer than 6 issues, and I heard that was actually a decent run. I just found out about it, if I remember correctly, as it was ending, or too late, where it's like 15 issues in or something like that, and it's almost ending. So it's just best to get the trade when it comes out. But I wish that when it comes to comics like these and Spider Boy, that DC, Marvel, and Image, and some of the smaller ones, I understand that um, the money is in the hand of the adults. Kids don't make money; adults make money. But kids can be some of the greatest salesmen, where they will annoy their parents enough that if there's something that they want, they'll make their way to there. That's why Pokemon cards were a huge deal back in the late '90s. I know they're a huge deal now, but they're mainly the adults, sadly, that are into them. But in the late '90s, it was kids just wanting to drive their parents to the local Walgreens, the local Walmart to get them, and they convinced them enough to do them because they annoyed them enough. And I feel like comic books can be the same thing. And if there's a comic book that gets enough traction for children, they'll want to get their parents to get them into a local comic book store so they can start reading it. It's just a thought, just an idea. I just wish they had more of them. All right, almost done. Now, Green Lantern Corps. This is issue 3. Yeah, this is issue 3. Um, you know what? So far, it's okay. Um, I understand that Jeremy Adams is playing a part. He's helping out with the writing. I just don't feel like this is his best work. I don't know if he's writing a majority of it or just part of it. Uh, I just feel like when it comes to all the Green Lanterns, other than probably Absolute Green Lantern, Absolute Green Lantern, which I don't have it here in my pile. I don't have Absolute Green Lantern or Absolute Martian Manhunter for some reason, but I'm realizing that now. But Absolute Green Lantern is probably the worst Green Lantern right now, and that should stay as a mini series right now in my mind because I don't think that would last as a ongoing series. But Martian Manhunter, on the other hand, that's a really good comic. That was probably a, the biggest surprise of this year so far. I mean, I know we're still very early in this year, um, but it's a great comic so far, and I really like what Camp is doing with that. Now, the last one that I want to go over with is probably again my probably one of my most I wouldn't say confrontational, but just hot take is what you would want to call it. Absolute Batman. Uh, I I find Absolute Batman to be good. It's not the best. And why I say it's good is that Batman is willing to kill. He's willing to do what it takes to get to clean up the streets. And there's a reason why Batman in the in the original universe why he doesn't kill. I mean, because if he even just kills once, and what makes him different from the Joker, what makes him different from the Riddler. He's in a cape and cowl. They're dressed up as well. Uh, what makes him different is that he's willing to stick to his own sets of rules. I mean, yeah, he'll break some bones. He'll scare some people to make them think that he's going to throw them off a roof, but he actually doesn't. And when it comes to this absolute Batman, I understand that he has some pain. Well, I think the Bruce Wayne in the Earth One had some pain as well. Losing both of his parents. But I just don't really like how he's going about things. And Scott Snyder, right now, him and Jonathan Hickman are probably the most popular artists right now in comics. Anything that he is coming out with that deals with Batman, it's gold. And I understand people are flocking to it. I want to say Absolute Batman issue 1 is in its 6th or 7th printing right now, which I thought would be insane. But I mean, Transformers and I think Void Rivals is like on their 10th when it comes to their first issue. But still, it's selling a lot of comics, and I'm glad that it's making a lot of comics. But when it comes to the story, I just hope that somehow, again, I trust this whole character development and this world building that these people are trying to do with the Ultimate Universe and the Absolute Universe. These are great writers that have been doing it for a long time, and so I want to trust them in in what they're trying to create when it comes to this world. And I just hope that Batman changes a little bit, because if he just continues to be this person that's willing to kill to just make sure that Gotham is a little bit safer, then I mean, what's to stop him to be just a little bit more like the Joker, right? Or Bane or Clayface or something. Um, but that's my take. I mean, I'm going to continue reading Absolute Batman because is it enjoyable? It's a read. It's a good read. I would admit that it's a good read. I'm interested to know what this Bruce Wayne is able to do. I mean, he's a freak of nature. I mean, I feel like it's Bane just in a cape and cowl, but at the same time, I want to see where it goes. And I trust Scott Snyder in his writing with Batman because uh, his independent stuff is hit or miss. As again, there's not any writer to my knowledge that's ever been just they come out with something they're 100% just always hitting it right on the nail, coming out with hit after hit after hit. Very few people are able to do that. But whenever he touches a Batman title, it works out. So again, I have my faith in him, and we'll see what he does. But hey, I appreciate you giving the time. I know this wasn't short, but I appreciate you taking your time to be able to hear me out on this is my what I have for my DC pull list. And tell me if you feel that I'm missing anything, or hey, if you have a hot take yourself on one of these titles that I'm reading, let me know. And again, this is Craven Comics, and I'm your host, Brett, and thank you for your time.